Welcome to the May 24th council meeting. I'm showing it 7:34 p.m. Ms. Sarcisi, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Barker.
Here.
Sorry to say Sergeant Glantz.
No, he's right there.
I know, what transfers here? Ms. Darrow.
Here.
Mr. Engel.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Mulder.
Here.
I would like to ask Nick Molnar to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, after which Mike Miller will say our invocation.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, please keep all our residents in your loving care. Continue to protect our dedicated city employees as they serve us around the clock each day. Please help the City Council to perform at our best as we faithfully work for the residents of Macedonia. And Lord, please bestow a special blessing upon Macedonia residents who have lost loved ones this year and are currently dealing with any health issues. Amen.
Thank you. Very good.
Here's our law department, he's going.
Okay, next we're going to ask if there's any changes to the minutes. Good job. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
If there are any changes to the minutes, if not, do I have a motion to accept?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the regular meetings of April 26 and May 10, 2012.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain April 26th.
Okay. Before we move into comments by the public, I notice our illustrious councilman from Summit County is here, Nick Costanderis. Hi, Nick. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to go into the part of the meeting right now where it's public comments. So if you would have something you would like to say, we invite you to do that.
I want to certainly with Honorable Mayor, Honorable Member of the Council, Law Director, members of the staff, members of the audience, members of the newspapers. My name is Nick Costanderis, for those that don't know me. I just wanted to comment and say hello to you and tell you a little bit about some of the initiatives that we are doing on the state level as Vice President of the County Commissioners of Ohio. The big issue right now, and I'm sure all of you have felt it, and I'm feeling it every day, is local government fund is steadily being taken away from us. Strong position by the County Commissioners of Ohio, to the legislators, to the governor, that this should not happen, in light of the fact that we will not be able to provide the services required for the citizens of Summit County. And we want to be a partner with the legislators, and as much as they are partners with us, they create the laws, and we have to go out and administer the laws that they pass. So therefore, they need to look at us as somebody that's working with them day in and day out. The big issue is, and I'm sure the mayor will probably allude later, there's a meeting tomorrow on cracking and fracking, and the governor and the legislators have indicated to us that there will be a tremendous amount of money in the billions of dollars that will be coming to the counties. At a point where if you having any kind of a lease, an oil lease, you were paid on what was the net royalties you were getting. Now we have changed that to where it's in the gross what it produces, and many people in the southern counties like Holmes and Mobile and then Noble and Harrison are leasing their properties at $6,000 to $7,000 an acre, and the money will be coming through the counties. And I've indicated to the legislators and to the governor that I felt that it should come to the counties and to the cities that need it and disperse if upon need. And the other thing is they talked about, it was the casino money, Summit County will continue then to get the 30% with 78 other counties. We were told they were going to be reduced and give the money to the townships. And I said, no, let's give it to the counties and let, upon need, distribute those funds to either the safety forces or the communities that need the money, rather than just giving it to the townships. So there are a lot of issues going on. CCAO is very actively involved in what's going on with the funding, and the governor's proposed more unfunded mandates. After all, we all have realized, and I'm sure you have felt the pinch here, in Summit County, we already cut the budget by over $23 million and reduced the overall funds from 570 to $470 million. So financially, Summit County is doing well. We still have about $27 million in a rainy day fund, but we're looking to get more revenue. We are looking to bring more jobs to Summit County, as you are doing here in Macedonia, to increase our base and reduce the tax burden for the residents. So I'm always grateful to come here, Mayor. Yeah, I haven't been around for a long time, and I'm sure you understand life, but life's got to go on, and we have all have some challenges, and some of those things we cannot do anything about it, but we have to continue on. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick. And tonight, if you're going to be around for a little bit, we do have a resolution for the memorandum of understanding that is up before council
And I
tonight.
did send you something, I sent you and Mayor Alonso, as you guys, you and Mayor Alonso were strong proponents on MOUs. In light of the fact, I remember well when Norendex was moving out, and you have strongly voiced many objections with the neighboring municipality, Hudson, and you were, in fact, the brainchild, the originator of the MOUs. And Summit County Council has adopted, and I'm glad to see that you're putting something to amend and the memorandums of agreement so that everyone can benefit as a result of if some company is looking to move. We have that issue right now, but then I don't want to get into that, with Walmart moving from Fairlawn into Copley, and I'm against moving any company, especially when it's a mile away. I think this is not in the best interest of communities that are trying to work in the worst economic times. So I'm glad to see you moving in that direction.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, we're continuing on with comments by the public. I would like to ask you, if you have any comments to make, please come up to the microphone here at the front and state your name and address. Do we have any public comments? Yes, sir.
Mayor and members of council, my name is Dennis Ruska, and I live in the Villas of Taormina on Kenjemi Court. And I'd like to say a few words about the Guardian building and the associated landscaping that was just recently completed. First of all, I want to applaud the city on bringing in new business. I know that was a vacant property when I first moved into the area last year. I think the spirit of moving forward, I think it's an absolute great thing that we now have those buildings occupied. Having said that, though, if you recall, there was a variance provided as part of the deal originally, where their storage can now be on the outside of the building, and since the tenants have moved into the building, they have indeed stored building materials on the outside. And I was really against this early on, but I wanted to wait to see once the landscaping was finished. And it appears like it has been finished, by the way. And I must admit, I'm a bit disappointed. I think there could have been a lot more done. They actually spent a lot of money on landscaping, but the reality is that most of the landscaping dollars were spent on the hill that's facing the building, not the hill facing Valley View. And they didn't do any landscaping on the hill itself to actually help block the view of the building materials. So I guess what I'm saying is I think we missed a great opportunity as a city to work with the folks that occupied that building. There could have been a lot more things done as far as putting in additional arboreta, shrubs. They could have built the mound up. If you, actually, there's a fence that borders right along where the building materials are. The shrubs are like 2 feet tall, so you can see right through the fence, right at the building material. So I just wanted to mention to you that, you know, from a resident's standpoint, I think we could have done a much better job. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Did I see that they're storing fencing material out back there now, sir? Is that, I think I saw white fencing material. Is that what they have back there?
I'm sorry?
Are they storing like some white fencing material back there?
Well,
What's
I
up?
mean, in all honesty, they're storing building materials. There's trailers there right now. I didn't know that was part of the agreement.
Yeah, I did see those too.
And to me, as you come down Valley View, you get a clear view going northbound, get a clear
Yes,
view of that
yeah, you
building
can see it very
materials,
well,
as well
right.
as the residents in the villas of Taormina. It's the first thing we see when we leave the development.
Are there any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Sylvia Hannikin, Macedonia. Just a few more comments I'd like to make about Ordinance 47 of 2012. First, I appreciate the fact, I just heard in the work session that we aren't going to be making the change in this overall salary schedule. We're maintaining the 2009 schedule except for minimum wage, which has to be modified. A couple of other comments. I would strongly urge that we be extremely careful, and I oppose any interim compensation increases that were at least originally in that particular proposal. And I think particularly areas where we already have a set amount of money, we need to make sure that if we're going to make changes, it's always in the next term of any of the elected officials. Third, I think we ought to take some time and actually study the salary and compensation issues for the elected officials, which there are some modifications going out to 2014 and 2016. And I did some research myself looking at Simply Hired and a few other websites, trying to figure out, is there an average amount of money that a mayor and council people make? I was able to find that, in fact, the average salary of a mayor in the United States is $62,000. Now, the average small city mayor did not have anywhere close to that number, but I think it'd be worthwhile just to take some time. This is not an emergency. Let's consider how we might work on this and really get the full set of information we need to be able to fairly compensate people in the next term. And one thing that Mr. Costanderas brought out earlier that I think is important, I think we need to have all compensation in the context of what's our revenue stream going to be. And we do have expiring income tax, 0.25%, both in the end of 2013 and the end of 2016. So I think, and of course the local government funds are shrinking, and there's been other things that have happened that are reducing the contributions from the state. So I think just the total picture needs to be looked at. I don't think it's an emergency to make a decision on this kind of thing now. I think we ought to do some research, come back to the table and think it through a little more carefully. At any rate, that's my comments for tonight. I do have one other comment, if I may, on the memorandum of agreement for Summit County. I did scan through the MOA, and the one question that I had was, and perhaps one of the two of you know this, what happens if a company moves into Macedonia or into any city in the memorandum agreement area, and they are not incentivized to move into that city, but it simply happens that they decide for whatever reason they want to move from a city that's in one of the signatories and they move to another city, but they're not incentivized to do so. It appeared, just on a scan through, that the receiving city, in that case it could be Macedonia, would still have to compensate the losing city to some extent. And I just wanted to make sure, if that is the case, that we've considered that. So, I don't know if you have any comments on that, but that's what just a quick scan through I saw. So, if you guys would like to talk more about it, it'd be fine, but those are my two areas of comments tonight.
Are there any other public comments this evening?
Mayor, Council, Louis Townsend, Ledge Road. I'm glad that Mr. Councilman Casanderos is here tonight. As you recall, last time I was here, I was talking about the impact that Racino would be having on our local shopping center and other things. I noted in the paper on Wednesday, Cleveland Metro, it says county urged to share money from casino with inner suburbs. They're doing this on a county level in Cleveland. As you know, they have a county council, and the way it is now with the casino money, they're dividing it up not only with the local councilmen in Cleveland, but with the inner ring suburbs. As I was mentioning before, we're going to be severely impacted by this racino. They say, what the councilman was talking about before, is for the casinos in Ohio are setting aside a certain amount of money for the local governments. It doesn't say anything about these racinos, and it is not specific as to what kind of help they would be getting out. So what I'm trying to urge is that this county council take a look at getting us some money for this, because this is going to be a serious problem. It's not just Macedonia, it's a Nordonia problem, because we all use that shopping center up there. We have our kids there, we do our shopping there, and if there's an increase in crime because of this setup for this new racino, it's going to impact all of us. I don't think we can ignore that anymore. We need, to have some kind of revenue stream to get more police and fire protection. It's inevitable that this is going to be needed. So what I'm saying is, why can't we go in at the county level and ask for some close compensation, because we're affected by it. I mean, more stringently than anybody else. And this little area of Nordonia really is going to be adversely impacted. And I think, the public officials need to start talking about how we're going to live with this big racino and the problems it brings. And, get in the county level. Let's start talking about this before we're in the middle of it and find out there's no revenue. So that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Are there any other public comments this evening?
Jim Zabo, Macedonia, Berkshire Drive. I wasn't able to attend the work session, but I just want to get clarification from y'all with the ordinance with pay and compensation. Based on what I've seen, and please correct me so that I understand what's going on here with what occurred in the work session. Basically, we're seeing roughly a $75,000 to $102,000 pay increase for the finance director, which is $27,000 based on what information I got, based on the pay grade of him being, I believe, at 13 or possibly 14. And the mayor going from 55 to 70 plus an additional 25,000 as the security director. Is that still in the works then, or is there something that's been changed regarding that particular ordinance?
It's up for second reading tonight.
Oh, so you're still moving forward with it?
It's up for second reading. It doesn't even move forward.
We're not going to make a decision tonight. We still have a lot of unanswered questions ourselves.
Okay, because I just wanted to make sure I understood what y'all had talked about in there.
No, it's just, we actually just went over it.
Okay.
I think just enough to give it a second reading. We still have a
Because
lot.
I would just like to add, remember 2 years ago when we were having our economic difficulties, a lot of painful decisions had to be made, a lot of tough decisions had to be made as far as getting the city's finances in order. And we had to do some layoffs involving police and safety officials. We had to get the 0.25% tax increase to help our finances. As you know, that 0.25% is going to go away. And if we start taking these seriously large increases right now, we could be very well in the same position we were back in 2010, where we're going to be scrambling around trying to have to lay off people, and then we'll be in the hurt locker again trying to ask for another tax increase. So please take that into consideration when you review this in further detail.
Mr. Sabo, so you know, the finance director presented an amendment to the ordinance.
Okay.
So it's a completely amended ordinance.
Okay.
And the amendment deals only with the pay rates that were proposed. They've now been taken back to the previous 2009, so those are not there. The issues of raises to the officials, That has not been addressed yet.
Okay.
And, not everybody on council was in favor of that. And and also Section 3 has not been addressed. So if you want to get up to date, stop by and ask Josephine, the clerk, to give you a copy of the amended copy, and you'll know exactly where we're at right
Okay,
now.
that's why I wanted to touch base on that right now. All right, thank you.
Yeah, quite frankly, Mr. Zabo, when I took a look at that initially, when I saw it, I'm not in favor, really, of any changes being made except for the adjustments to the minimum wage area. But oftentimes, council will be presented with proposals, and these proposals will generate discussion, and that's the purpose of a proposal.
Are there any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, members of council. My name is Jeff Garvis. I'm a resident of Firestone Lane. Some of you may have seen some communication from me recently. I'm not here to talk about the stop sign topic. I am, however, interested in this ordinance that's on the top of the agenda, the 44-2012. I'm presuming that third reading would be tonight and that you'd possibly be voting on this.
Actually, we're going to hold it at second reading. Like I mentioned in the work session, I'm meeting with the lieutenant, the chief of police, the assistant law director, the mayor, and whoever else wants to be there 2 weeks from yesterday. Add some pretty stringent restrictions in there. I'm not real sure if they're going to be, but we're going to define on what backstop is. Look at maybe the amount of real estate people have, maybe increasing it. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. Maybe I talked to the lieutenant yesterday, and we talked about calibers of stuff. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions. So we're going to hold it at second, and a decision won't be made probably until sometime in June.
Okay, that's great. The reason I ask,
I'll tell you what I would like, though, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You can get my email address off the city website. Any input, send it to me, because I'm getting a lot of input on it, and I'll be glad to discuss that and add it to the legislation.
Absolutely. I had no idea it wasn't even on the agenda. I just came up here tonight to sit in the audience and watch, and I actually have some input on it for you, and I'll be in touch. We can chat after the council here.
I'd love to.
Okay, great.
All right, Jeff. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we're going to go right into pending and new legislation, starting with ordinance number 44, 2012.
Move that we hold ordinance 44, 2012 at second reading.
I'll need a second.
Second.
All of you?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, hello. An ordinance amending section 54910 of the Macedonia Codified Ordinances to provide limited discharge of firearm on personally owned property.
Moving on to ordinance number 47-2012.
I'd like to offer ordinance 47, 2012 for a second reading by title only.
An ordinance establishing the pay range schedule of compensation for employees of the City of Macedonia effective January 1, 2012, and declaring an emergency.
Moving on to resolution number 48, 2012.
I'd like to offer resolution number 48, 2012 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an audit agreement with the state of the Auditor of State.
And what's your pleasure?
Move that we pass and post resolution number 48, 2012.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Darrell,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Martin, Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Molnar.
Yes.
Resolution number 48 passes. This is a housekeeping type of thing that we do every year because we're audited every year. Resolution number 49, 2012.
I'd like to offer resolution 49, 2012 for a first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Before we go on, oh, I guess you need to read it, I'm sorry.
That's okay. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amended Summit County Intergovernmental Memorandum of Understanding for job creation and retention and tax revenue sharing.
Mr. Deemert, Mrs. Hannigan had a question about how this works when the incentive, when the city doesn't offer an incentive, but the city or the company voluntarily moves from one city to the other. Could you explain that to her and also to council before we vote?
Well, it's my understanding that it would apply
Okay.
to everyone.
Does it apply at a different rate, or it applies no matter what the reason then?
I'll have to look it up. We adopted the model code, as you know, so unless Scott has an idea
Yes,
off the top of your head.
yeah, actually, there's just two provisions. If the company has a payroll of more than $3.5 million, that triggers the agreement, or if at any time the city that wants to host city that's trying to lure that, then the dollar amount doesn't apply. So if the payroll is $1 million and we incentivize and they come, then we still have to pay. And it's for 50% the first year, 40% the second, 30% of their total income tax the third year, 20 the fourth, and 10 the fifth. So it would have to be a significant company that relocated here. You know, if you're talking 3.5 million, it's probably 60 to 70 employees, I would think. And at that time, even if we didn't offer an incentive, we would have to give them 50% of the income tax collected. So it's a provision that basically, I mean, it would apply to us too if we happen to lose a business, and
it protects us.
It protects us as well. So it's it's an agreement that again, you kind of roll the dice and decide whether it applies to you or not.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to offer Resolution 49, 2012 or I'd like to move that we pass and post Ordinance 49, 2012 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Resolution number 49-2012 passes. Ordinance number 50-2012.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer Ordinance 50, 2012 for a first reading by title only.
An ordinance for an amendment to section 1171-16G8 requiring adjacent neighbor approval as to location and property line or the obtaining of a survey.
Okay, are there any other motions or legislative actions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion canceling the regular council meetings of June 28th and the regular council meeting of July 12th for the purpose of summer recess, and then offer an amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer an amendment to the motion canceling the regular council meetings of June 28th and the regular council meeting of July 12th for the purposes of summer recess. And I would like to amend it in the following manner, that we would make a motion canceling the regular council meetings of June 28th, July 12th, and August 9th in the year of 2012 for the purpose of summer recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there any other motions or legislative actions?
Now that I've amended it, do I have to pass it, or Joe?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Motion to adopt.
Yeah, it would be, I would like to adopt the motion as amended. That is, to make a motion canceling the regular council meetings of June 28th, July 12th, and August 9th in the year of 2012 for the purpose of summer recess. And that would be a motion to adopt, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, just for clarification, by law, we have to meet once a month, and we are complying with that. Do we have any other motions, legislative actions? If not, correspondence from our clerk.
I do, sir. Received an email this afternoon that I've been asked to read. To council members and mayor, I am out of town at this, I should announce it's from Shirley Coth of Eileen Drive. I am out of town at this time, so I cannot bring this up at tonight's meeting. And she asks in the next breath, you know, if on her behalf, if I would read this. Ms. Coth asks that you consider tabling this ordinance, and she references the pay schedule, until more discussion and public input can be heard. Now it is not the time to be making permanent ongoing changes of this nature to the budget. Has it been forgotten how desperate we were financially just a short time ago? Have projections for the future been made, at least 5 years out, to see how this will affect the budget after the 0.25% income tax expires? No further taxes should be needed to fund this in the future. Have all the other needed positions been filled and capital and ongoing projects been funded, i.e. safety forces, maintenance, equipment, roads, recreation? Question mark. Should any elected official benefit from this during this current term? Why the need for retroactive? There may be some legal and ethical issues in this that should be considered as well. Unless we know the changes proposed in this ordinance can be implemented legally and without sacrificing any services, city services, then this should not be considered at this time.
Is there any other correspondence?
I do. This is to Service Director Jim Crever. On behalf of the Nordonia Hills Garden Club, I want to personally thank you for your help with our annual plant sale by permitting us to use the old Macedonia Fire Hall. We especially appreciate your arranging for us to be able to store the plants there early in the week. This made setup so much easier and less rushed. The plant sale is our major fundraiser for the year, which gives us the money for educational speakers and community beautification projects. Thank you again. Best regards, Phyllis Kluber, Secretary to the organization. That's it, sir.
Thank you. Moving on, the mayor's report. We're continuing in our effort to make our old city hall into a senior center. The county is willing to lease it for $1 a year to us. However, the facility needs a new roof and carpeting. If anyone can help us find donated materials and labor, please contact my office. If we can get this to happen, we can move forward, hopefully, and join together with the other Nordonia Hills communities. So this would be a Nordonia Senior Center. All of this is only possible after repairs are made. But then there are other things that come into play, because the council and the trustees would all have to agree to band together. We have lots of hurdles to jump. With the help of County Councilman Nick Costanderas, it's worth the effort, and he is the one who got us that building for $1 a year by working with Russ Pry, our county executive. So you can't beat the deal. Keep your fingers crossed. We're getting closer. I will keep you posted. I would like to thank our new sign man, Ray Reed, for replacing 250 signs already in the short time he's been assigned to the sign shop. I need to tell you about this feat because there's new federal guidelines for signs controlling reflectivity. It's a huge project, a huge job, because just about every sign in Macedonia needs changing. It's also a huge cost. It's very frustrating being hit with unfunded mandates from the federal government. It's a hard pill to swallow. We've been trying so hard to get other things accomplished, and yet we have to deal with federal mandates for things like keeping stormwater clean, and we're worrying about having too much stormwater in the first place, and then how much our signs reflect. I've lived here over 30 years. I don't remember ever not being able to see a sign at night when I'm driving. Why in the hell do we have to change them all now? And they have to be replaced, I believe, by 2014. Nick touched on fracking a little bit tonight. It's a term that's heard more and more. It's actually our country's way of perhaps getting out of dependence on other countries for our fuel. But I would like us to be very, very careful, because you could cash in by having a well on your property. Nick talked about Southern Ohio. A lot of this is happening down there. If you go down to Southern Ohio and you look around, you don't see the kind of population that we have up here. It's more open land, and it's not like the fact that we cannot control if wells are built in your yard. Just a short time ago, we had a well that was constructed in a churchyard, and we could not stop it. So I need you to really think about things. I need you to really think about possibly fracking could lead to a fight with your neighbors or problems with your own home equity. Why would it lead to fights? Well, you know, it's pretty tough. Somebody comes up to you and they say, I'm going to buy your mineral rights. Oh, man, this is great. I can pay off my credit cards. But the only problem with that is that it can affect the equity in your home. If you would like, you can contact my office and we can give you websites where you can look where some banks are actually refusing second mortgages, refusing to mortgage a house that's being purchased where there is a fracking well. So think about it. If somebody comes up to you, we have homes in Macedonia that have some pretty good acreage, and they might very well think that this is a great thing, but we're not really sure if fracking pollutes both water and land, and we're not sure that it doesn't cause earthquakes. So please contact my office if a well were proposed, and if you were to allow one to be built in your yard, think of your neighbors. Think of the house values around you. Think about it. The promise of getting rich quick could backfire. Now, there's a lot of studies being done, and they're doing a lot of things to try and improve the fracking system. So this might be irrelevant at some time, where fracking can be done and there's no worries. But for right now, we have to go slow. I would like to thank Tish Odell. Tish is the person that met with me. I've been to a couple of seminars on fracking. There's another one tomorrow morning. We have a lot to learn. There's pros and cons, so we just have to keep an open mind. As far as our traffic light patterns, they're not timed the way they used to be because of the Highland Road Bridge being built. I would like to urge everyone to please try and use northbound Interstate 271 ramp that's located right by Bob Evans. I've heard a lot of people don't even know it's there. It's a great way to miss all the traffic on 82, the lights that are short. The idea of the shortened lights is to keep traffic moving on 82. If we don't have the lights the way they are, 82 is a solid mass of chaos. Try and have some etiquette and manners, please. If you're stopped, don't stop in the intersection so nobody else from the side street can get in there. These are pretty basic things, but we're having a lot of problems with road rage developing over this. And I remember reading once that when the temperatures approach 90s, the murder rate goes up. And I don't want anybody murdered on Route 82 over not being able to get into traffic. So when it's done, we will benefit from that bridge in many, many ways. But now it's making our life a little tougher, and I apologize for that. While I'm talking about the bridge, let me once again reiterate the importance of patronizing our local merchants there. I realize sometimes you go out of your way to avoid construction, you look elsewhere. You look elsewhere to go to another park instead of fun and stuff. You look elsewhere to buy a lawnmower from somebody else instead of Sohar's. They need you, and we need them. Our city is almost entirely reliant on city income tax. Without having good, strong business base, Macedonia most certainly would go belly up. Just don't forget that. We need them people. Moving on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports tonight?
Mr. Mayor, there will be a meeting of the Planning Commission at 5:15 on May 29th, 2012. That is the Tuesday after Memorial Day. Just want to point out that in reviewing the schedule, it's a very full schedule. And I would especially ask the people who live in the Parkview Estates to be present. We have sent out notices to them because there's proposals there to split lots. And in addition to that, there's also a landscape plan being requested by Western Reserve Grace Church, which the people at the villages of Taramina had been concerned about. And also there's a public hearing on a proposed garage addition, which is going to be very oversized, and a request to expand outdoor storage at Home Depot. So it's going to be a very, very busy meeting, but there's a lot of issues that are going to impact our residents on here, Mr. Mayor. So it's going to be May 29th. That'll be Tuesday after Memorial Day. Public hearing at 5:15. The meeting starts at 5:30.
For anything to be done on those kind of properties, you have to have the homeowners association's approval. And Mr. Martin made the suggestion that even if they didn't have a homeowners association, that we notify all the people in that development that something's going to happen there that doesn't conform or is different. And I'm glad we did that because it shows that we're being consistent, because there were some other issues with some other contractors over splitting lots and building homes. So thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I want to mention one thing too, because there was an article in the paper about the winking lizard, and we subsequently had a meeting about that at our last planning commission. And you mentioned that we sent out letters to residents. In the case of the winking lizard, we sent out letters to the existing businesses there. And that meeting actually was a fairly lengthy meeting. There was a lot of discussion, and the whole outcome of it is that the owner of the property, Mr. Charlie Taylor, as well as the tenants and the winking lizard, are now going to get together and discuss what type of outdoor dining there should be, how the traffic should be situated. And I think overall, Mr. Mayor, it was a much better situation than the winking lizard coming to us and asking us to do something. And I think it was much more productive to get everyone involved and come up with their own agreement. So I think it's a good idea when people have an opportunity to offer input and when they're able to suggest. It makes things a lot smoother and more amiable.
It's not really up to the city, like so many people think, to decide issues. Sometimes it's just neighbors have to talk.
That's right.
All right, are there any other committee reports? The JED board met last night. We do have a JED, which is a joint economic development contract with the city, or with the township of Northfield Center. We did disperse checks because Macedonia and Northfield Center share city income tax from the JED. The JED is where Giant Eagle is, Lowe's, all of those businesses. The JED board is going to meet again in December. We really don't have that much business anymore where we're meeting as often as we used to. I think we'll actually start meeting about once a year. Any other committee reports? Hearing none, let's move on to department reports. Jim?
Yeah, I'd like to let residents know that there's a new 24-hour recycle drop-off center at the Macedonia Recreation Center. This recycle center accepts more materials than accepted at our curbside recycle program and available to any and all parks and recreation center patrons. In an effort to increase recycling tonnage in communities, the Summit Akron Solid Waste Management Agency coordinates the Community Access Recycling Grant for this purpose. Also like to advise residents that the free mulch will be available this weekend at the old fire station, and also like to wish Mayor and Council a happy holiday. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mike is not here today, so I'm going to try and do this real quick for him. We are making progress as far as getting those plates removed where we had the water main break in front of Aldi's. We have had the streets more or less x-rayed. You say, what the heck are you doing that for? Well, when a water main breaks, it can wash a lot of dirt out from under the pavement, and somebody one of these days falls into a sinkhole. We're being very, very thorough to make sure that all the repairs done there will be sufficient. The repairs are right now out for bid, so it won't be too long. We'll be seeing that taken care of. We are moving forward with the Route 82 redesignation, Route 8 redesignation to allow a right in and a right out in right there by the Great Escape in the JED. This water main actually brought it more to the forefront that if something devastating were to happen at the entrance, how would people get out? So we're looking at it very strong, and we will be going to ODOT with that. We're still waiting for returns from ODOT as far as our traffic on Route 82 because of the Highland Road Bridge construction. Shepherd Hills Boulevard should see the first layer of paving done there very shortly. I believe tomorrow, Nick said, so soon we will have that road repaved, finally. When that road is repaved, we might be starting on some other roads. In the month of May, we sent out for bids Berkshire and the bad stretch of road in front of the rec center. And in June, after June 1st, we're going to be opening the bids and letting those jobs out, which is good news and bad news. The good news is those streets are horrible and they need it. The bad news is, once again, more orange barrels. I think that about does it. Angela?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder to patrons of the Recreation Center, will be closed on Monday, May 28th in observance of Memorial Day. I do have a playground update. We did hear from the installer, and we are on their schedule just shortly after what they originally estimated, so we look like we're going to be about mid to late June as far as completion in Longwood Park. We finally came to an agreement with Time Warner Cable, so we will be moving forward with offering free Wi-Fi at the Recreation Center. And this we hope to have installed by June 1st. Program updates, we have our community garage sale on Saturday, June 9th in Longwood Park from 9 to 1. Spaces are still available if you're interested in bringing your goods out to the park and putting them out for sale. We, in the past, have traditionally always held 2 each year, 1 in the summer and 1 in the fall. This year, we will only be holding 1, and that is on June 9th. We also this year are doing a farmers market in Macedonia. This is a first for the community. That will run all summer on Tuesdays from June 26th through October 9th in the fall from 3 to 7 p.m. every Tuesday in the Macedonia Recreation Center parking lot. So we do have vendors who are already signed up. We do have spaces still available. We have a lot of local vendors, local farmers. So I encourage you to sign up if you have something that would fit. We do have spaces available, and I also encourage you to come out every Tuesday and to purchase from our local vendors. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Scott?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank Jim Crevar and Ray Reed, as you were talking about earlier, for the signs. They've and actually council, we budgeted in anticipation of this. I know Ray came and Jim came to me earlier in the year before we set the budget, knowing we had a federal mandate in 2014 to switch over all of our signs to these highly reflective vinyl signs. And Jim and his staff, Sherry, they've actually found some vendors that were a lot cheaper. And with the additional $20,000 we put in the sign budget this year, we were able to bulk purchase the posts. And again, they went and looked at some stainless steel bolts and some other things that'll save us money in the long run. The current ones, a lot of them that were put up years ago, were regular steel, and they started rust, and you'll see that steel bleeding in there. So when he's switching these over, he's switching them over to the stainless steel also that'll have longer life. So it's a big project. I know I talked to Ray, and he's doing sections at a time, and he'll get it done apparently. So I wanted to thank and let you guys know how that worked out. One of the things I handed out to council was our Fifth Third investment review. I met with Vice President of Treasury, Jonathan Groza, and this was a quick overview of our performance on our investments for the last year. It actually goes not fiscal year as far as calendar year, but through May. And we did extremely well with our interest. If you flip to that back page, we received over $63,573 in interest on our investments last year on a lot of government bonds that we put in our portfolio. We have a running balance of $2,749,184, and our investment policy only allows us to go 5 years out, with our weighted maturities at about 2.5 years right now. We just had a money market fund come due, or matured, I should say, at $390,000, and I met with them to go over some strategy on where we wanted to place that. But in the prospectus that you have, it shows all of our government bonds that we currently invest in, and our current interest rate is over what was it? The yield was over 3.28%. So, which is outstanding at this time. And we also talked about whether we wanted to move some more money in. We've got some extra cash now that we could put in a little bit further out, 2 years out, instead of keeping it in a bank and getting a little bit higher interest rate. So if council wants to review this, and if they want to have me email me any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them. And I just wanted to say that there's been some confusion on the pay scales and a lot of controversy, which I understand. I think Ms. Sylvia Hannikin in her editorial kind of jumped the gun. This was the first proposal that was sent out to council based on a lot of information that was going on. All our non-union people haven't had raises for 3 years. And the scale, which was done by an independent HR firm, I think 4 or 5 years ago, that has historically just been increased 2 to 3%, but it doesn't mean that employee would get that raise. It just means that scale moves up. And one of the misconceptions of that is that once you're into the scale, you can't jump from midpoint to the maximum point. You only get whatever council allows, whether it's a 2 or 3% increase. So when I hear misconceptions that department heads are making $120,000 or has the ability, that's a false. You look at the department heads now, and on that pay scale, the average is $78,000. So So that's a far cry from the 120 that some people think that's what's going on. And I just wanted to clear that up, and if anyone has any questions concerning that, they'd be more than welcome to contact me.
Yeah, Scott, I felt the same way, and I was very disappointed when I read that, because it just created so many misconceptions and was so misleading, especially when you have a council that has managed money and a mayor and administration that has managed money well, to the point where we've widened Route 82. We built a bridge over Route 82, where we found a tenant for the two-club golf. We put in a quiet zone. And the thing is that when you take a look at just some of the incredible things that this council has done to make life so much better here for people who live here, and then to be somehow made to feel that we're not watching our dollars, it's disappointing. So I really sympathize with you.
Okay. Chief Black is on vacation, and I'd like to introduce Sergeant Brian Glantz. Don't worry, Sarge, I won't make you say anything. But he's been with our police department for how many years now, Brian?
Coming up on 14.
14 years. Good, solid officer who has worked his way up to sergeant, and we're glad to have people like you. Very glad. Thank you. Joe, do you have anything tonight? All right. What we're going to do now is move on to unfinished business.
Mr. Mayor? Yeah, I just want to point out that this is the first time ever in my life that Joe Deemer did not show up exactly on time for a meeting. I think he was 1 minute late, Joe, so.
I'm sorry, I was promised you a workshop would last longer.
Okay, is there any new business?
To make a motion to go into executive session for personnel issues.
Roll call.
Mr. Bar,
I think probably you and the mayor.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Jarrell,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Martin, Mr. Miller, Mr. Mulner.
Yes.
I would like to thank you all for coming tonight. We're going into executive session. We will come out of executive session and adjourn the meeting. So basically, the meeting's over. Thanks, come again.